Today I'm going to present the foundations of the theory of demand. What I'm interested to do here is to discuss what lies behind demand, behind the demand curve, and the movements of the demand curve. I'm going to talk about the demand curve itself, then the law of demand, and possibly shifts of the demand curve. Then what you need to recall in discussing this is the concept of scarcity. Each consumer has a limited budget, which means that they have to economize on how they use that budget to satisfy their needs and wants. Now what we have as human beings are wants and needs, and these generate basic urges or drives in our lives, things like hunger, thirst, the need for fashion, ignorance, and so forth. And what we want to do using our limited budget is to satisfy those basic urges or drives, and in satisfying those, we derive value from everything that we consume. Now, I'll give you an example here of quenching thirst. Suppose that it is a particular day where there is a heat wave and you have been roaming around, you haven't come across water, you are really very thirsty. You do have money in your pocket, but you can't find water. So you get to a particular shop, you don't know the price of water, but in your mind, you got a particular price you are willing to pay just to get a bottle of water to quench the thirst. So let's say this water is Tsitsikama water. So when you take your first bottle of water, it yields some level of satisfaction. When you take the second bottle of water, it will yield some other level of satisfaction, but obviously the level of satisfaction you derive from the second bottle is not the same as the level of satisfaction you derive from the first bottle. I tell you what, the second bottle will give you lesser satisfaction than the first bottle. And if you take a third one, it will also have some other level of satisfaction, but quite lower than the second bottle. So that process will continue until you feel like I no longer want to drink water. Now, so let's try to demonstrate graphically the short story I just presented now. So we can try to plot what we expect to derive from drinking each bottle of water, which is your expected satisfaction from each bottle, and the number of bottles on the horizontal axis. So let's say this is the first bottle of water you drink. The bar there represents the level of expected satisfaction that you will derive from that. You haven't consumed yet, it is just what you expect to derive from consuming that bottle of water. The second one will yield say that much, and the third one say that much. Now if we connect these three bars, we get a line that has a negative slope. And this line is what economists call the demand curve. It connects the number of bottles of water that you consume and the satisfaction you expect to derive from consuming each one of those bottles. And what you notice here, which is interesting, and which is what we call the law of demand, it is that negative relationship between the expected satisfaction and the number of bottles that you would drink. So then that's the law of demand, which states that there is a negative relationship between price, which economists really take to be your willingness to pay. And your willingness to pay is simply what you expect to derive from consuming that particular bottle of water. So there is a negative relationship between the quantity of bottles of water you consume and the expected satisfaction. Now then we can try to illustrate how this expected satisfaction changes depending on whether other things that influence demand change. And that would be a discussion of the shift in the demand curve or a shift in the willingness to pay, which is your expected satisfaction. So now suppose that just before you arrive at that shop which sells Titsikama water, you just hear some news on your phone and they are saying it has been discovered by scientists that Titsikama mountain spring water can heal some other diseases like cancer and so forth. Do you think that your expected satisfaction will remain as it is right now in those 3 bars? It will increase. For example, for the first one, it goes up because now it's more than just satisfying a thirst. You are also deriving some other benefits from that. So for the second one, it will be up. For the third one, it will go up. And if we connect those, what you see is that your willingness to pay has increased for each bottle. And so economists call that a shift in the demand curve. It simply means that your willingness to pay has increased because other things which are not the price of the good have changed. For example, they have new information about the benefits of Titsikama mountain water. The other things are like if your income increases, of course, your willingness to pay goes up. If your preferences change because of some other things that cause your preferences to change, you might also find yourself being more willing to pay more for each bottle of water.